Hello again. We're back with another review of a macro adjunct. This time it is Miller's foundational beer, Miller High Life. Before Miller Lite. And I should note that I'm doing this one by request. Someone sent me an email requesting this one. And so I had a list of ones, and I'll try to get to all of them eventually, but this was one in my refrigerator, so here's Miller High Life. Now again, this is an interesting beer. This is, interestingly enough, probably, I believe, although I don't know, but I believe this is my dad's favorite beer. Dad doesn't drink beer anymore, but he would have been drinking in the 70s, and he described Miller as his favorite. And Miller, it would be this, the High Life, because that would be before Miller Lite or MGD. Miller Lite, next to Bud Light, is probably the most successful beer in the history of the country in some ways. An amazingly successful beer that's become Miller's defining beer. And MGD, which no longer sells as well as High Life, interestingly. My understanding was Miller's attempt to try to capture, or at least the gimmick was with code filtering, was you were going to get something that tasted like Miller High Life out of draft. Now again, note the huge bubbles here that in the head, which to me are typical, that kind of airy, light, and rapidly dissolving head. Very much the signature of the American adjunct, as it is now. So, Miller High Life, after the MGD and Miller Lite, I think Miller was often criticized for kind of neglecting, in contrast to Budweiser, which has always paid good attention to their flagship beer, kind of neglecting the High Life and relegating it down to the basically down to the bottom shelf without much advertising support, which I think is a real mistake, because Miller High Life is actually quite a good value down there. This is a decent adjunct, a decent macro. I think it tastes better than MGD and Miller Lite. It's very different than Bud in that it has more stuff going on, but that means it's not quite as smooth. But it was a very popular beer for Miller, and they didn't change it, but yet they just basically neglected it. And until recently, where they've kind of brought back some advertisement, and we've seen High Life sales kind of rebound as Miller started to kind of pay attention to this brand again and rebuild it. And I think they should. This is it's not a great beer, but it's a good value at a significantly lower price than Budweiser. I don't see that it's much worse. And again, I've heard people argue Pabst is the good value, but I'm not sure that Pabst is better than this. I'd have to try them both, but this may be a better beer than Pabst. Haven't had PBR in a while. As you can probably tell, in contrast to the Lagunitas I had yesterday, you drink Miller High Life fast. So what does it taste like? It tastes like all the adjuncts you've been having. A little bit of a stale aftertaste. You get it kind of, when you first take it, you get what you would call the kiss of hops and malt. and then kind of this stale aftertaste that doesn't hang around for very long. It doesn't taste like as much of a beer drink kind of as Budweiser does. I mean, it just tastes like a weak adjunct beer. Drinkable, basically pleasant. I can't describe the taste as bad here. Just a little bit stale though. You really can't complain too much because, again, for the price, this is a nice session beer. One, if I was doing kind of, I guess, a wizard staff, I could see myself choosing Miller High Life as the beer to do it with because you can drink this. You can keep going. You can put these back. No complaints really, except for I think the aftertaste isn't very pleasant, but as a whole, the initial taste is quite nice. And again, I think it has a better initial taste than, say, MGD does. But again, High Life is not as smooth and as kind of dulled down as High Life as MGD is, and so you get a lot more going on there. I like that more, although that does come with an aftertaste that I don't think is quite so good. Anyway, so coming up should be, I think, Coors Banquet, Landshark, and Sam Adams Light Yuengling. I actually have recorded a Yuengling review, but I deleted it, and so I will re-review Yuengling's traditional lager, maybe some other Yuengling. I'm a big Yuengling fan, so and whatever kind of craft brew I see when I go to get a craft brew and a cigar sometime next week. I usually buy a craft and a cigar every week, and so sometime next week I should do that again, and we'll get a craft at that point. Anyway, that is all. Thanks. I'll see you next time.